welcome to another show. Bringing and starting season 8, I have a new guest for us. So, her name is Dawn Reid. And as always, let me tell you a little bit about Dawn. So, besides Dawn Reid being a wife, mother, grandmother, and dog mom, she's also a trusted psychic who also talks to loved ones on the other side. Today, she's joining us so that we can talk about higher consciousness and ancestral wisdom. Dawn, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm great. And I'm super bubbly and excited. And like, as you very well know, but we'll tell the audience, we've been having a pre-chat before the recording, before the record. So I'm already bubbled up and just, okay, let's get this going. And it's so cool. And the other thing I wanted to mention is today that we're recording is October 2nd. So October 2nd, new moon, solar eclipse. We all know that so much energy has been happening anyways. And it's just like even the things that we've been talking about in the pre-recording, it's this and this. And you said one word, and oh my God, and that happened to me. And all of that is happening so much everywhere. How did you, let's go back a little bit to you. How did you start feeling, knowing? How did you even get to being able to tell people and come on a show and say, I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, I talk to the others on the other side?
Oh, okay. So it was about five and a half years ago, and we found out my dad had small cell lung cancer, which is, devastating to any family. He wanted to do it his way, and he decided to do some treatments, but he also wanted to do home hospice when it came time. So that being said, we honored his wishes. We were doing all the things, and during that time, one of my dear, 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 dear best friends, all through childhood and into adulthood, she had gotten very sick and she was only 39, 40. She had gotten very sick and had passed away. And I could not go see her because I was so hands on with my dad at the time and I couldn't risk it. Um, Simultaneously, as she passed, she started visiting me, and I thought I was losing my damn mind. Um, and the crazy thing is, when you're doing like the home hospice and caring for someone who is ill, you go through a grieving process while they're still alive. It's so wild. Um, but so, I grabbed my yoga mat, and of course, I was doing RV life at the time, and I just got out my yoga mat. And of course, I was homeschooling my son. I was taking care of my dad, doing all the things. My husband was working away. And I just put on some frequencies. I started listening to some frequencies and meditating and doing my own thing. And that's when my friends started really coming in hot and heavy. And I'm like, am I literally losing my shit here? Well, I was teaching fitness classes at the time, and there was a woman who was a Reiki master that was taking my classes, and I knew she was clairvoyant. So I did a little test of my own.
Uh-huh.
And I went and had a session with her, and I said nothing to her. She picked up the energy of my sister, or my, yeah, well, she is kind of like my sister, of my dear best friend who passed. And then she also said that I am a collector of good spirits. And the energy frequencies that was coming off of my body, she said, were so intense that she had to literally raise her hands off of my body to even finish out the session.
Okay.
That session changed my life. So I started dabbling a little bit and just, researching Reiki. And that's how I really got into my spiritual journey, is down the Reiki path. And so I started learning about chakra energies and opening up my chakras. And of course, it does wonders for grief, because grief will wreck you if you let it. So I started dabbling in that. Fast forward to one very, very magical moment. It came time, October 1st, 5 years ago. Yeah, I haven't told this story in a little while. And it was time. It was time for my dad to cross over. He made it to his birthday month, and you know, I knew he needed some help. So I called in my friend Aim, and I said, Aim, I need your help. I need your help. So I had her gather all of his loved ones, and my dad was a partier. And I'm telling you, 4:20, he
Oh,
took his last peaceful breath
wow.
with Aim's help. And from that moment on, I knew that this was just going to be a magical journey. And now they both always appear on my left when I call them in or when they just pop in. Okay, so now fast forward, I was using my intuitive abilities to help me through my own health scares. I
Mhm.
am a heart attack survivor, and I actually used my own intuition and everyone in the spirit world to help me during the onset of my heart attack. Some people look at me and think I'm wackadoodle, and that's okay.
But you're here.
Yes. The very first thing I did was I actually cleansed my aura when the heart attack pain started. And my husband was working out of town. I was here all alone. My son was here, but he can't drive. And I did all that, went into a meditative state. I was able to then get myself to the hospital, all the things. And the cardiologist told me that those moments that I did that, and I also did a meditative breathing
Mhm.
technique that I teach my clients. He said that was the smartest thing I could have ever done because that saved my heart from further damage. Because what I did is I lessened the amount of oxygen that my heart was requiring in a stressful moment. So instead of panicking, I
Mhm.
was able to go into a Zen meditative state. And so now I'm off of all medications because I use my psychic abilities and my intuition to eat the things I'm supposed to eat or do the things I'm supposed to do. And it's just been such a beautiful journey. So now the last little speck of it was when probably about a month ago is when I had the hard conversation I had to have with family because I come from a family who has Christian beliefs. And it's a no-no
Right,
talking to
right,
woo people.
right.
So I had that hard conversation with my mom and with my sister. And let me tell you, the second I got off the phone with them, just the amount of respect I had for myself. And then everything changed. Everything changed. All of my spiritual gifts, everything just started flooding in even more because I was open to it and I was embracing it. And now I can channel like that on the fly, nonstop, person after person after person. And I just am a clear channel to help deliver those messages to the other side, from the other side to you in what you really need to know, whether it be your past loved ones, pets, your ancestors, your highest self, whoever shows up and wants to help guide you to the best and highest things for yourself. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Just a tad of a story. No, but
Dad.
okay, so one, yes, my heart hurt, and I think my higher self is like, I have something to say to you. She's gonna talk. Um, but I love and again, that's why I do these shows. That's why I have these conversations because everybody's story is different. Everybody gets to a different place, and we're not all go. Okay, my belief, we're all one. We're all gonna go to the same place because there is that thing. It is consciousness, it's the matrix, it's whatever we want to call it. But we each have our own experience and we each have our own road and our own path how to get there. You said so many different things. The helping yourself through grief, the being able to ask for her help for him to transition. The fact that you're recognizing you have a heart attack and you can quote unquote control and heal your body to the point that not only you drove yourself to the hospital, but the fact that you're here and you're okay and you're off medication, there's so many topics we can go from there because people, and it's one of the things I'm trying to do is break people from outside the box and tell them there is no box.
Exactly.
It's not even getting out of the box. It's please recognize there is no box. It is a belief, it is a perception, it is what you think it is. I mean, call it whatever you want. But when people hear, let's talk about the last part, like the heart attack. When people hear medically, you've cured yourself with breathing, with yoga, with this. They look at you like you're crazy, but yet here you are. It's proof. I don't see you laying in a bed from a hospital room talking to us. You're vitalized, you're full of energy. You said it yourself. You did all those things. And then like that last part is you talk to your loved ones about, okay, I have all this experience, and yet we're still scared to talk to certain people about
Mhm.
the things that have happened to us. It's not even what we can do because all of us can do it, but it's having that conversation and then feeling so free. So I think that's the end of our call. I mean, there's so many things. There's so
Right?
many amazing things there. So let's go through there because I told you in the pre-chat, you are my episode 1 of season 8. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I love that we're starting with this because, like I mentioned to you, many of the guests that are coming on board this season, there is a very similar thing. Either they're spiritually coming out of the closet, they just told certain people, they didn't know if they should do it or not. And yet I have others that are kind of like, no, I'm here to wake up the others because I'm an activator. And it's like, wow. Like
Yeah.
I can see where all of you guys are at for my quote unquote season. And it's so cool to see kind of the purpose. Now I'm getting teary-eyed. It's kind of the purpose of the show. It's from beginning to, we walk this path and then we go back and teach others or help them.
Hmm.
So I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Now, let's talk about, now I'm just being selfish. Let's talk about a higher self.
Okay.
I mean, selfish because that's what I want to know about. Yes, you can talk to loved ones, and I think that's great. And at the end, we will have your information, and I want to, I'll give you the space for you to invite people to join you because I definitely want people to reach out. So to talk to their loved ones and their pets and the whole thing and just the entire process of anything you've spoken about. But let's talk about the higher self. There's a lot of people that still don't fully understand what the higher self is. How would you explain it?
So, the way I would explain it is that gut instinct, that literal gut instinct. And a lot of times, you know, a certain situation may happen and you just get this feeling or this knowing. Don't know how you don't know why you have this feeling, but something just kind of feels off. And you're just like, sometimes you'll go through it and then look back in hindsight and be like, should have listened to my gut. That's the higher self. Um, and even like butterflies, when you get nervous, the butterflies and the anxiety, but the good kind of anxiety, like, first date kind of anxiety.
Mhm.
That's also your higher self because that's excitement for the adventure, something new. And that's what we're meant to experience is new things. What I like to suggest to people is to do a little bit of mirror work. If you want to get in touch with your higher self fairly quickly, I love looking in the mirror and looking deep into my own eyes
Mhm.
because I'm telling you, your eyes are the gateway to your soul. So if you want to know your higher self and know how to get in touch with your higher self, go stare at yourself in the mirror, but into your eyes. Don't look at this and start criticizing and go negative. Literally dream into your eyes and
I love
you
that.
will get into your higher self.
I love that. Dream into your eyes. You know that I always write everything down.
Yes.
No, I love that. And, you know, God, years ago, what was it like 20 years ago, maybe, that I first came across the Louise Hay and her book, I can't even think of the name now, but she started with loving yourself and affirmations and curing
Mm.
yourself. And it was through her that I first heard of the mirror work. And it was like, I wonder what that is. And I admit, because I'm very authentic and I'm very truthful, and especially on the show, because that's what I want people to see. It's not easy because you nailed it. You look at yourself in the mirror and where do you go? My hair is a mess. I have wrinkles. I have this. I have that. I hate this. I've gained weight. Or, or we look at ourselves and we feel shame, guilt, and all that negative self-talk. So how would you suggest for them to go in and lovingly do that, lovingly dream into their eyes without that judgment? Because it does crawl in. Or
Mhm.
what can they do when it does crawl in?
Well, how I actually battled that is I stood really, really close. Like literally nose
Okay.
to mirror.
Okay.
So you only have the option to look into your eyes. Nothing else is like everything else kind of goes blurry. Um, so that's my first tip. My first tip is just stand so stinking close that you have no other option but to look into the eyes of yourself.
That's a pretty good tip.
Um, and then the second tip I have is don't do it if you're feeling in a meh mood or a negative mood. Now, of course, we can't always be in that high vibe mood. So, what I always suggest is to open up your chakras and just get that energy flowing. And it's as simple as going to, well, I have a free chakra sound healing meditation that I will gift everyone. That is very easy and it connects you to your highest self as well during so, because it's like just amazing. Listen to that chakra activation sound healing meditation and then go look at yourself in the mirror and just see and feel what your highest self is really wanting you to do. But if that's not your thing, what I suggest to people is to go to YouTube. YouTube is a huge resource and just type in frequencies. And if you're feeling, say, depressed, type in depression frequencies. If you're feeling anxious, anxiety frequencies. If you struggle with insomnia, insomnia frequencies. And I'm telling you, oh, frequencies are such an easy way to activate your body in such a positive way because your cells literally just resonate with those frequencies and they automatically just do the magic for you. So it's kind of like the lazy man's way of getting in touch with your higher self.
To be honest, I love your tips. I really do. Like
Oh, thank
they're
you.
the stand really close to you because they're pragmatic. They're very simple to do. I love the woo-woo. I absolutely love it. But there are moments that we need that, especially
Yeah,
if you can't sleep. You don't want woo-woo, you just want to freaking sleep.
yeah.
If you're depressed, if you're in anxiety. I mean, there's moments and there's things for everyone. The goal would be for us to not get to that point. And that's doing that thing. So I'm actually going to share with something that I just remembered when you said that. I love the thing about the frequency. So a lot of us have heard that music is the soul or the music's the soul or so whatever.
Yeah.
We can all feel music. There is something about music that whatever type of different music we do, from an energy point of view, we are energy, we are a frequency, and we can't hear it. Not all of us can hear it, but we do emulate a frequency of our own. Something I don't think I've shared on the talk show at all, but I'll share it now. I dream a lot and I have a lot of shamanic dreams. Like I do a lot of shamanic work in my dreams. And I was in a funk for months. This was about 3, 4 years ago. I was in a complete funk. It's like just just bad. And hindsight, like you said, later I realized there was a new moon or a full moon. There was something happened planetarily. I did not know about it at the moment. And I had a dream, which I used to laugh. I used to call them like my blockbuster dreams because they're like a Netflix movie. It's like it has a beginning, an end, a thriller, a climax, a this, and that. People I don't know. It's like they're crazy. So I was having one of those like blockbuster movie nights. And then all I remember when I wake up is it got to a point that I went to a balcony. I don't know. I was somewhere, got somewhere, and I looked up and I literally saw all the planets in the sky all lined up. But it wasn't just the, oh wow, how beautiful. I mean, it was like I was looking at a planetary project. It was like the most amazing thing. But the actual amazing thing, each of them vibrated a different song, and I could hear it all together like an orchestra. And my soul, look, my voice is like shaking. My soul heard the music in the dream and felt an instant relief
Mm.
and said, wow, they're singing me my tune. I haven't heard this in a long time.
Oh,
And I can tell you that the next morning I woke up a different person. I woke up with the funk I had been going through, the depression I had been going through, the problems I didn't completely change me because of the tune. And that's what I'm getting at. When you mention go see the frequencies, go listen to the frequencies, even if you think it's whatever, it changes something inside of you. It really does because we are frequency. We just think we're this. We think we're human. We think we're skin. We think we're this body. But it's so beautiful. So I love that you said that.
yeah, absolutely. What I like to try to remind people is that we are energy beings having a human experience. And when you do mirror work and look into your soul, it really helps you get in touch with what you need to do, what you need to serve, what you need to create before you leave this earth. And it's such a beautiful experience.
It is. It really is. Now, going back to the higher self, is the higher self, I'm asking you, is the higher self a part of us? Is the higher self something outside of us? Is the higher self what? Because many religions, many beliefs, we call quote unquote it many different things.
Mhm.
Call it a guardian angel, some call it, I don't know, whoever this, that. Um, when we receive those messages from our higher self, is it something outside of us or is it a part of us that's outside? Or how do you see that?
My perception on it is it it's my energy. It is my essence. It is my soul in energy form. And that's how I came into this world. So it is outside of us, but it is still a part of us because once we physically leave this world, we are we are our highest self going into the next life or the next adventure, however you perceive that to be. Um, Going into some of the ancestral stuff, that's how I perceive it because when we're dealing with karma and different things like that, and ancestral lines, generational lines, all those things, the limiting beliefs and the trauma and all the karmic junk that we, tie ourselves to, whether we realize it or not, that's our highest self really trying to help guide us. And some of us who, especially, I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I was always the weirdo. I was always the black sheep, got bullied through my entire life. I was just always different. And now I embrace my weird. And I encourage others to embrace their
Yeah.
weird. But I fully trust that and perceive that my highest self is both in and out of me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we're always connected. So we were one before we came in, and then we separated, and I'm in my physical avatar, but I'm still very much connected to the higher self. And then once I leave this physical avatar, then I will be reconnected with my highest self as one until we go to the next lifetime, whatever that may be.
No, I love that. It's funny because for some reason, I came up with a visual. It's like I'm here for me, this is my avatar. Like this body is my avatar, but I didn't fit all of me in because the rest of it is energy, blah, 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 blah. So this is the part that fit in. But the rest of it and the one like the puppeteer, the one that's actually handling what this avatar is doing is my higher self, which is me up there. So sometimes I'll literally have conversations like, seriously?
I
Why don't
know,
you
right?
change the game? Like, seriously? But obviously, it's me, the one that has to change the game, not, the higher self knows better. So, okay, now going back into higher self and ancestors, because you channel both and you channel, past loved ones and the whole thing. Let's go back into do you find, and this is literally just a question, do you find that there's a difference between the messages the higher self gives a person versus what their ancestors maybe can come with, or no?
Yes and no. Um, what I'm seeing across the board is generally they're the same because it's all for your best and highest good, and it's all to get you into a different level of perception, a different level of perspective, and a different level of outside of your mind thinking. And when it comes through, sometimes they'll show me who it is, like if it's a medicine woman, or if it's 5 generations back on your timeline kind of thing. All are equally with the wisdom and the gifts. Some are more willing to, like, here, I'll help you. Others are like, you got some work to do, kind of stuff.
Get
And
back to
those
me
are
when you're
more,
actually ready.
yeah, and those tend to be the more ancestral ones, because it is so tied to your karma and to your generational. And so you can't just, oh, okay, let's on to the next. Like, it's something you really do have to work through. But a lot of people will just pick up that carpet, sweep it under there, and ignore it. And then they stay stuck in their life. To everyone who's currently waking up and shifting in this amazing energy that we got going on, they're the ones that are starting to, like, really want to do the work. And what I say, don't be afraid of the work, because the work isn't always ugly.
Yeah.
Some people get that perception of, they see someone else went through a spiritual awakening and, oh my gosh, it was like full out bawling and this and that, and like body spasms and stuff. And it's whatever you feel comfortable with. You're
Mhm.
never going to be put in a situation, just like this. They always say, Christian family kind of always says, God never gives you more than you can handle.
Mhm.
Same thing. Your higher self, everything is always for your best and highest good. And they're always going to protect you. Always, always, always going to protect you. So when the messages come through, it's more of a eye opener. This is what you need to know to get out of where you're currently at, because you keep telling the same story. It's time to give that story a different ending. You can still tell your backstory, but give it a different ending,
Right.
because the ending that they're coming in with, so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah. No, and I love that. And I love that because it's not, we're not going to erase our story. Our story happened and it happened for a reason. And when
Yeah.
we look at the lessons that we actually learn, it's look at the lessons that you learn from it, and that's okay. But not be attached to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part. And maybe that's what the higher self and the ancestors, everybody in a different realm above us. So I'm also a graphic designer. So I work a lot in Photoshop, which works on layers. So I always explain to my clients, like, okay, imagine you're in this building. So you're on the first floor and they're on the fifth. They can see farther down, they can see what's going on while you can't see it. And it's okay. It's just a different perspective. Trust it. Like, trust that perspective because it's good advice. It's not anything harmful. It's not anything against you. And we're talking with higher self and all of these spirit guides and angels and all of that. It's if we're fighting it, it's us as egos wanting to fight it. Us
Mhm.
as egos wanting to be the victim to the story we don't or don't know how to let go of.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay, so I know we're kind of running out of time. I wanted to ask with the higher self. Well, let's go with the ancestors. We've already talked about the higher self. When the ancestors, and there's an actual question, when somebody comes to you, do they come to you to talk to a particular loved one, or do they come to talk to you and the loved one kind of shows up? Example, I hate to say this, I really do, but the reason I'm going to say it is because a lot of people have what we have in our culture, which are the movies. So Ghost and Whoopi Goldberg from the 80s, it's like you can see all the ghosts waiting to be called on. And then, it's like that whole joke. But from your point of view, from your experience, when somebody contacts you or whatever, and they're like, I want to talk to grandma, whatever. Is it easy for you to connect with them? Does grandma already come with them? I mean, how does that connection there energetically work? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. I had the same question myself. How's this all going to work, guys?
It's like literally, it's like, okay, is there a grandma here? Grandma Mary, are you here? You know, it's like,
So funny, I'll give a little example. So yesterday I actually did a live in one of the groups that I'm in, and I channeled and I told him this is how we're going to do it. We are going to do one question to someone specific. So if there was a past loved one that they wanted to talk to, put their name and their specific question to them. And then the second thing was whatever other message was going to come through from the other side, I would deliver that, because that way they're getting the best of both worlds. They're getting something that they wanted, and then they're just getting something they need.
mhm.
So, but I needed to keep in orderly fashion because, again, I got spirits over here lining up, all the energy, and they're trying to get in an orderly fashion. And then I have all these comments coming at me through the live stream. So it just flows. And of course, I wanted to get in as many as I could. And I was limited to like 40 minutes, I think, 40 or 45 minutes. And just one by one, boom, boom, boom. I used my phone, recorded here, used my phone, and I was able to, okay, so and so, you want to connect with your dad, this name, da 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 da. Okay. And then I call their name. They come front and center, and we immediately deliver that message and then on to the next.
Okay.
And especially like when I do vendor events and I have just nonstop public coming in, the biggest thing I love about what I do is I don't know my clients. I don't know my clients. I don't know anything about them, nothing. So everything literally that comes out that's channeled, they're just like in awe.
Right.
When it's
Right. Like there's
uh,
no way you could have known that.
yeah. So it's a little bit of both. And then I also have intimate private sessions where if they want to book and they're saying, I miss my friend. So this is exactly who they want to talk to. We do the specific channeling first to that direct person. Then afterwards, we open it up and I deliver whatever messages come through from ancestors, past loved ones. One time I had to share, and this was actually a funny story. This is when I realized I could actually channel energy of animals. One of my clients came to me and she didn't say anything, but she was really hoping that I could channel energy of animals. Right before we got off the call, and I always over deliver. We went too long, but I still kept going because who am I to stop communicating with the other side?
You know, pause,
But
pause.
yeah, like hold that thought. But so I'm like, all right, this message is so persistent to come in. I'm like, you have so many animals kind of behind you. I said, but there's a white llama sticking out, and her mouth dropped wide open, her eyes got the size of quarters. And I'm like, I'm guessing you know this llama. It was a childhood pet. And she was just so ecstatic. And it was just like, and this was a few years ago. But yeah, so it's I never know who's gonna come through. And it's a lot of times I'm just channeling the information, and then I have to pause and say, is this making sense, is this resonating? Because sometimes there's been a couple times where they don't know, they don't understand the message, and it's because it's almost like a heads up, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So because I am psychic, so it's like a premonition going forward to help them navigate so that they stay clear of any roadblocks or obstacles that they may come across. So it's exciting because it's I'm over here just kind of partying with all the energy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have blockbuster movies. You have blockbuster days. I mean,
Right?
it's
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, okay. Yes, I can totally understand. I would not have expected the llama. Like
I
when
know,
you
right?
said animals, I'm like, okay, the dog, the cat, the what. When you said a llama, I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that one. But that's super interesting because again, everything is united. Everything is there. It shows, proves once again, animals have their own consciousness. They have their own spirit. They have their own things, and they are. I mean, a real quick story about me. I don't know why, because I don't remember. But it seems that when I was little, a dog scared me. What I
Hmm.
do know is that I was terrified of dogs. I mean, terrified of dogs. I have since learned to control it. I have been with dogs. I pet dogs. Don't ask me to have a dog because that's pushing it. But I never really grew up with animals. I think because of the thing with the dog. But 2020, for some crazy reason, I wanted a cat. And I wanted a cat and 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 a cat. And I got my cat. Like I wanted a cat. And now I understand when people talk about the love for their pet because I'd never understood that. And it literally is. And I love saying that because I can tell you I love my cat. I don't know what it is to love my elephant. Like I don't have an elephant. But it's like I see this cat and I hold her and she purrs and this and it's just love that's so different than a human love that I have no real connection to it before. And I'm like, okay, now I understand what people were saying about you're missing out on the love of an animal. And it's so crazy to hear. It's really beautiful. Like it's really a beautiful thing. But again, I wasn't expecting a llama.
Well, and for the cat, their purr is actually a specific frequency. And
Yeah.
it's therapy. It's literally therapy for you. It's resonant frequency therapy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I love one of the before I became a nomad, because I'm everywhere. Once I had the house, I would always pick a different card set. Like I'm traveling, I'm at my sister's right now. I'm playing with my sister's cards because all mine are packed away. But I have like, I don't even know how many Oracle cards. Like so every day I would choose like a different box. The cat could have been anywhere. And
Hmm.
I sit on the floor in my room and I just do my meditation with my cards. And here comes a cat and she'll sit right next to me. And it's so funny because I'm like, I guess cats do go with witches because I'm like, I didn't call her, I didn't anything. And she just came, purred, sat, like, okay, let's do this. And like her little paws were like on top of the first card. Like, okay, what does this one say? It was like the funniest thing. I have pictures of it because every time she would always come and do it. It's,
Aw.
yeah, it's adorable. Han, I know we're running out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. I have absolutely loved it. How can people get in touch with you, communicate, book you, follow you, hound you for their loved ones and their messages?
Well, like I said, I'm going to gift everyone a free chakra download, and that is on my website at dawnintuitivehealer.com. Just go right there. You'll be able to download it. And it's a small little 24-hour link that expires. So make sure you download it and save it to your device before it disappears. And also, we're doing a soul fire workshop coming up. So if any of what we talked about today sparks and tugs at those heartstrings, I offer you to come into this workshop because it helps you journey deeper into your soul's path. And we do a lot of mirror work. So, looking into those gorgeous, beautiful eyes of yours so that you can fall deeper, deeper in love with yourself in such a beautiful way. And more of that is on my website as well. So just head over to dawnintuitivehealer.com and we can get in touch with you and also have my services over there as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you. As always, I'm going to go ahead and put all those links down below in the description and everywhere and anything that we're going to post this. Thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you for having me. It has been such a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Bye.